Hello, League City. I am here with Danny Perez from the Texas Department of Transportation.
Mhm.
Obviously, in your big orange and yellow vest, we know
Right,
you're from
right.
we know you're from TxDOT. We're here today to talk about the End the Streak campaign that
Yes.
TxDOT has. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, In the Streak is a campaign that we started. It's inclusive of all of our campaigns. We have everything from drinking and driving, texting and driving, distracted driving, our aggressive driving. So, it's a campaign that we started to recognize an anniversary that we really don't want to recognize.
What's that
So,
anniversary?
November 7th of 2000 was the last day we had a fatality-free day, meaning we didn't have a fatality anywhere in the state of Texas. So
Wow.
that's not just state roadways, but city roadways, county roadways, all across the state of Texas. So since that day, we've had at least one fatality a day. There's some days I've looked at the data. We've had some days in the city of Houston, for example, we've had multiple fatalities.
Hmm.
We've had, I was looking at some of the data where we've had one day we had maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 fatalities, and just in one day in the Houston
In the
area.
Houston area,
Area
that's not
alone.
even statewide. That's just, and that includes League City and
Right. So we look at this data constantly. What can we do to improve safety? Where can we go to get up to a point where we don't have a fatality on the roadway? We want people to think, what can they do to do their part? And that's all of us included. That's people at TxDOT. That's anyone that's a pedestrian, a
Mhm.
bicyclist. What can we all do collectively to improve roadway safety? And so we ask folks to look at things that slow down when you're on the roadway, when you're driving, when you get behind the wheel. I like to look at it when you look at a YouTube video and you see a person that's getting on like a pilot,
Yeah,
that's a military pilot. They're doing all their checks. They're
yeah.
going through all these different steps. Kind of have the same mindset. You're getting behind you're not going up in the air, but you're going on a roadway.
Hmm.
You're getting behind a vehicle that you're controlling, that you have the power. It's a very heavy vehicle. It can cause some serious damage out there. It can hurt people. So when you get behind that vehicle, it's a big responsibility. So make sure you're checking things, you're looking at things, you're putting your mind correctly. If you're on your phone, you're not focused, you're in a hurry, you're trying to get somewhere, you're in a rush.
Hmm.
Prepare accordingly, plan accordingly, have a route. So that's definitely a good idea to do before you hit the roadway. Definitely just don't drive distracted.
Yeah.
Have your location mapped out before you hit the road. On my way here today, for example, I left from downtown, the near downtown Houston. I mapped out everything before I left. Kind of had an idea of how long it was going to take me to get here. I didn't do that while I was on the road,
On the road.
so I wasn't
Yeah,
checking my
messing with your
phone.
phone.
Right,
Yeah, it was already set
exactly.
up and ready to
And,
go and basically telling you where to go and where to
yes,
turn.
and so you know where you're trying to go. So I always say no before you go. Plan accordingly.
Okay.
The other thing too is don't drive aggressively. Yes, we have construction. Obviously, you see the orange out there. We have people. We have everyone's doing construction. Lake City's doing
Yep.
construction.
Yep.
City of Houston's doing construction. We're doing construction all over.
A lot of
Yes,
barricades all
yes.
over the place.
So don't lose your patience. Folks tend to get aggressive. They want to get into a lane and they start fighting with someone,
Mm.
and that's where we start seeing the aggressive driving. There's the bad behavior that leads to a situation where we see some crashes and some really bad crashes. But just pay attention to the roadway situation. Pay attention to the signage. Even if you have a green light, just always drive focus. And so if you have a green light, still scan, still
Look around
look
you.
around, look at it's kind of situational awareness. Make
Yeah.
sure you have the clearance, because there's situations where folks are not paying attention. So I mean, you could say, "Well, I had the green light," but if you lost your life and if you're deceased at the
Yeah.
scene, there's really, what's the argument when if you could have just taken that time to focus and scan and waited, and you would have noticed that that car was coming that obviously wasn't going to stop for the red light, then you would have saved your life. So we just ask folks to take their time out there, make sure that safety is paramount, and we can also, as passengers in vehicles, take that time. If we're driving with family, we're riding with family, if we're with friends, the bad behavior is infectious.
Yeah.
So is the good
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah.
So I always tell when I speak to children, I tell them, don't be disrespectful to mom and dad, but tell them, hey, mom and dad, my life's important too. Get off the phone. And when I ask kids, like, do you ever see your mom and dad texting and driving? Raise your hand. They all raise their hand.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, please don't be disrespectful to mom and dad. We ask that you don't do that, but just politely tell them, Mom, please put the phone down. I know kids they'll tell their parents, hey,
Yeah, they're honest.
yes, you passed a red light. Dad, Mom, that light was red. It's okay. Listen to your kids because we're all in it together, and safety is really important. But the one thing that we don't want to see is the drinking and driving.
This is it. With the holiday season approaching, we really need to stress that.
Yes.
That there are options out there with all
Many
of the
options.
with Uber and Lyft and everything else to not drink and drive.
People are still doing it. We recently launched a video with Lucy Ekpanya. She was gracious enough. Her husband was killed. Her husband was a Pearland police officer. He was killed in 2016. And Lucy works with us very often. And I talk to her often. And her husband died 8 years ago. She still lives it. They have a son that's now 10 years old.
Wow.
And they have to live that every day.
Yeah.
Her husband was killed by it. He was on patrol, doing his job, just working the night shift. And a lady was driving the wrong way on FM 518, killed him head on, and they have to live with that every day.
Yeah.
That person decided to get behind the wheel after having drinks and took his life. So talking to her every day, she's so gracious to help us. And she helped us with the In the Street program. She did a video for us for social media. And she's so wonderful. She's even though she's going through what she goes through each and every day, but she did this video for us. And so that's why we try to stress to people, it's not, you may get home one night after having drinks and you've done it maybe multiple times, but it's your luck's going to run out. Whether you get arrested or you get pulled over,
Right.
or you wind up in a situation where you get into a major car crash and you take someone's life. We see it all the time. And then we talk to the victims, the family members of victims all the time. And I mean, it's just so crushing and it breaks my heart. I mean, I spoke to a person not too long ago. She was talking about her son and his fiance, and she was talking about them like this had just happened.
Yeah.
And her situation, this was 15 plus.
But it's still fresh as
it was 10, 15 years ago this had happened.
Yeah.
And this doesn't go away. This is something, and that was somebody that made a mistake that decided to go ahead and just have drinks and get behind the wheel. And it's just so unnecessary when there's so many options. You have people that there's ride-share programs.
Yeah.
They could stay at a hotel.
You can have a designated driver that you designate
Absolutely.
before the evening to
And there's
go
people
out.
out there. I talk to people all the time that are willing. You go to the Astros games, and there's you can get a free soda.
Yeah.
And if you fill out a form and you just say that you're going to be a designated driver, you get a free coupon for a soda. There's so many options. There's so many opportunities to be a designated driver that you get so many benefits. And there's so many people willing to do it. It's a win-win for so many people.
Well, Danny, thank you so much for coming out today to talk about the End the Street program, really as we go into the holiday season, but really all year long.
Yes.
Let's be patient. Let's show one another some love on the
Yes.
streets, particularly during construction, and let's make sure we're not drinking and driving.
Let's end the streak.
Thank you very much, League City, for watching. We'll see you next time.